Hello. Now, what I wanted to talk about today was a little touch on the subject of somebody asking me, how do I stay so positive? Well, actually, it's hard work. And truth be told, I don't always. But I'm going to give you a couple of pointers on how I'm doing it at the moment. Now, this is not set in stone. This is not a guaranteed fix. It is just what is currently working for me if I stick to it. Now, way back a while ago, when I was being visited by my occupational therapist, she now doesn't come to visit me at home every week. She comes to work starting next week. Well, she suggested that I get back to using the planners that I used to use. Now, I'll just grab one. This goes back to 2017. They were big, they were A4. But what I used to do, I used to use them quite comprehensively, like so. And it would plan out my week. It would tell me what I was doing. Like in a crazy week would look a bit more like that. And then down at the bottom, I had my to-do list and all them sorts of things. Over on the left-hand side, good things that happened. And I always made sure I wrote some in there. And there's always some in there every week. I'm not going to read some of them because a lot of them have got names in. But yes, and I used it really quite comprehensively. And I've got 2 or 3 of them over here. And they're called Passion Planner. Now, I'm not an advocate. I don't get a bonus or any financial gain. But passionplanner.com, they've been my favourite for a long time. They go back to 2016, 17. And then I went off them for a couple of years, stopped using them. And my occupational therapist said I should get back to it. So I did. But now I'm not using the physical book. It actually went missing in the post for several months and finally showed up. Too late. I wanted to get started, so I'm using the digital version of it now, which looks like that. Now, I've got 2 going on at the same time. So in one of them, I am going to show you my day. This is an empty day. My day is laid out like this. So at the top, I summarize my mood on that day and how I slept that night. I'm tracking sleep patterns because it's something I'm really struggling with, and it impacts majorly on my day, and it's influenced majorly by what I'm doing in the week and if I overwork. Hence, I'm tracking it. Down at the bottom, the blue box, I'm trying to plan out my exercise in the week and then stick to it. This is like a work in progress. It's sort of like, yep. And then my energy levels at the bottom of the page, that is for me to look at patterns and see whether I did too much that week or whether I balanced the work and the life balance correctly, whether I overdid it. Now, in my other one, here's the other one. The beauty of having 2 is that I don't have to carry lots of these books around. I can just carry this around. So my other one looks more like this. So here's what my page layout looks like currently. I've done all the digital artwork myself on the iPad. And on one side, I've got a journal. Literally, I write about what happened that day. On the other side, I've got goals at the top of each week that I set. And that's the focus of the month. And there are, in this planner, there is some monthly tabs. And if I just go back and show you this, whoopsie, this is what the monthlies looks like. And I plan a month, what I'm going to do, and I reflect on it at the end. And when I've planned it here, I put those into the week. So then every day I look for what I did self-maintenance wise that was positive, what the best thing that happened that day, and what I'm grateful for that day. So I'll just pluck, let me see, what's this page that's open here? Tuesday. This is Tuesday this week, just gone. And what I've got, self-maintenance, I had a proper lunch break. Often I don't. Best thing that happened, I had an organized start to the day. On that day, I was at the GP at 9:45, and by then I'd done my lunch, I'd sorted out my tea, I'd done all the paperwork and planning for the day, and I was all set up, and I'm not usually as good at that. And what am I grateful for that day? My staff and my customers. And that changes every time. And then I write down at the end of the day how much energy I've got left and whether I work too hard. And then I look at the patterns. It all sounds like quite hard work. And it is. And I sometimes slack off. But actually, on the whole, if you look at like these little thumbnails, I have kept this up for quite a wee while now. There's one page for each day. And then there's the layout's just changing slightly. And that's when I started it. And when was that? That was the 4th of September. So I'm still going good. I'm now on the, middle of November. So that is how I plan the week. And then what do I do from there? I then set myself goals every day and then look at how I'm doing. Now, I've had to do a physical adjustment on these goal things because I used to write them down. If they weren't done that day, that's it, I've failed. I've had to teach myself how to not do that because actually all I have to do is move the goal into the next day. And it's okay. And normal people do this. So yes, but how has this week gone? This week has been a little bit like this. Because I sort of slacked off on doing all of this planning. Now, don't forget, I am tackling PTSD as well as a return to work and all of the rehab and everything else. And there's a lot of stuff going on in my life and my brain, and I don't always manage it all very well. Now, this week, I got a little bit slack with this here diary. And by the time I got to Wednesday, I had a bit of a crash. Now, I don't mean physical, as in bang, mental crash. So Wednesday wasn't such a good day. I hadn't really been sticking to my planning. I hadn't been doing the daily reflections. I'd gotten a bit behind on it and I hadn't filled in my good things that had happened thing that week so far. And therefore, I sort of all came a bit unstitched and felt really down and miserable and didn't go out, and then that meant that I stayed in, and then that meant I got bored, and it all went in a spiral. And I looked at the diary and thought, wait a second here, Mel. Now, I've been keeping this version of the diary for a while, so I looked back over the previous Wednesdays to see what I've been doing and looked at all the stuff and thought, oh my God, what are you doing now? So the following day, I had a series of goals that I set. What I had done this week so far was I hadn't done any exercise. So halfway through Wednesday, I went to the pool and did a swim. And then I set the exercise goals for the rest of the week because I got in a bit slack with that too. And then I went for a walk on the estuary on Thursday. Now, actually, that walk on the estuary, now bearing in mind Wednesday was mentally, for me, I took the crutches down to the estuary after work on Thursday and walked down the estuary. And that walk is the best walk I've done ever on this prosthetic leg. I walked along the flat path on the estuary. I always take the crutches, and it was quite late. It was 7 o'clock at night. Then sort of goes like dark at sort of 8:30 or so. Now I am walking quite slow, and I had originally thought, I'll go all the way around the loop, but I wasn't going to make it. There was not going to be enough daylight hours, and there's no lights down there. So I carried on going as far as I could get before I decided, okay, I better start back now. I don't want to run out of daylight. And that was 1.56 kilometers. Now, I have not been ever able to walk that far, ever. The last time I tried to do any type of distance, it was 800 meters. I've managed to squeeze it out to 0.95, but I have never managed to tick off a 1 kilometer walk or any longer than that. So I was bloody stoked, to be honest. I sat down on a bench, had a wee rest, and that was only because my other muscles were actually tired, not because my leg was sore. And then I turned around and I went back again. So I only stopped the once and walked 3.2 kilometers. And I was absolutely buzzing. And then that meant that I was back on track with the whole day. Plus, in that day, I had been down to the Tuatara Cafe in the afternoon, which is my favourite cafe for writing, and I'd done some of this. And I don't know what it is about that cafe, but I'm really quite good at reflections, and sorry, the cat's down there. I'm really quite good at, mental reflections and getting things up to date. And once I had done that, I felt a lot better. Then on Friday, I didn't have much planned. Now, I know this is bad. If I don't have anything planned in the day, then I go into a spiral and, you know, it could get bad. So I ummed and ahed about what I might do about this. And I've been thinking about going to see Paul in Cycle World in Dunedin about an e-bike. And the only time I could really do it was Saturday. But I didn't want to miss Saturday because Saturday I have been doing the 5K wheelchair in the park in my own time, and then meeting some friends for coffee afterwards. And I quite enjoy that meeting for coffee afterwards, so I didn't want to miss it. So I thought, I'll do with my Friday afternoon, I'll drive to Dunedin. That's a good use of my Friday afternoon. So I went to Dunedin to speak to Paul, and I've now got an e-bike. Now this is what it looks like. So why an e-bike? Well, I've had a lot of mixed comments about this. The derogatory comments tend to come from the people who don't know what they're talking about. Now, this bike, as you saw, doesn't look like an e-bike as you might traditionally expect it to be. It's an assistive bike, so I have to actually pedal for it to help me. And if I pedal in too big a gear, grinding the gears too big, it stops helping me completely. I can change the settings so I can decide what degree of help it gives me. And no, I can't freewheel along and let it pedal for me. It doesn't work like that. So I am really hoping that that will help me get my distance back on the bike again, because I'm really struggling with the bike the same way as I'm struggling with the walking. Yes. Now, onto the bike. I've been having lots of deliberations and conversations with lots of people about what to do. And it's really been tormenting me as to what to do. Felt like I needed to have a goal to return to because everything had been taken away from me. So I wanted to get back to triathlon or even aquabike. But to be fair, the bike is still causing me significant issues and might do for quite some time. Although I am not giving up on it yet, it's going to be significantly harder than I expected for a long time. Plus, in triathlon, the way the para-triathlon rules work, they disadvantage me majorly. Because I'm struggling to walk, that means I can't run. And I have got too much function in my right leg, which means I can't use a wheelchair in triathlon rules. So I would have to be on 2 feet, and there is no way I can cover 5K on 2 feet. I can barely even do it walking, never mind running. So that means I fall between the gaps, and the rules don't cater for my needs in an advantageous way and put me in as the most disabled person in a quite able-bodied category. What the hell is the point of that? So then I had a conversation with someone else about cycling, and I thought that really could work, and I ummed and ahed about that. But when I went and did that 100k ride and realised exactly how massive a mountain I have to climb still to get my fitness back, if I ever do, because I honestly don't know if I will, because of the damage that's been caused, lasting damage that can't be fixed in my left leg, I then began to think, do you know what? I'm really not even sure that cycling as a road race cycling or time trial cycling is even going to be a feasible goal, because, well, I've just got too much work to do. And honestly, at the moment, I'm not enjoying cycling. I want to do it. I do it. I persevere with it, but I'm not enjoying it because it's painful. I don't enjoy walking because it's painful. It's limiting. The pain is limiting me, and I can't do what I want to do. And I've always been of the frame of mind, well, if I can't do it, I'm not going to do it. If I can't do it even as good as I want to, then I'm not going to do it at all. And that's the way I've always looked at things. Just hang on, my thing is sliding down. That's the way I've always looked at things, and that's why I gave up triathlon. So it's kind of a bit of a waste of time thinking I'm going to do either one of them things if I'm going to be average to below average to slightly rubbish at both of them. So do you know what I'm going to do? Neither. I have thought about this long and hard, and you know what? I need to find the love for exercise and sport again. I know I have it, but I'm putting too much pressure on myself to compete at some type of level, and it's just not going to work for me now. It might later, but right now it's just not going to work for me in a competitive field. So here's what I'm going to do. I am going to liaise with local races like I have done already, and continue to do duathlons, aquathlons, no, not aquathlons, aquabikes, and maybe open water swimming races. Maybe I'll work towards a sprint triathlon when I can travel 5K and if I'm allowed to bend the rules and use a wheelchair. But I'm not going to do it as officially as a para triathlete. I'm just going to do it because I want to and because it's fun. And the same thing with cycling. I'm going to find some low-key, just for fun, cycling events that are local and just do them just for fun. Not because it's a race, not because I want to compete as a para triathlete or any other thing, but just for fun. My goal next is to find the fun in my fitness regime again, because I have lost it in the battle for trying to get fitness back, trying to combat the pain that I have in this left leg still and the disability related limitations that it gives me. So that's the conclusion that I've come to this week. It does not mean that I have given up. It means I have reframed my goal into something more realistic for me right now. Now, I would love to hear your thoughts on all of that, of course. So please do reach out, private message, comment below, that sort of thing, because I'd love to hear what you think about this, because it's taken me a really, really long time to process right through all this to get to even this point. So have a lovely weekend, everyone, and I will talk to you soon.